Ladies and gentlemen, most people will spend their entire lives dreaming of a better future while repeating the same habits that keep them stuck. They want success, but they avoid the sacrifices that success demands. They want change, but they choose comfort every time it challenges them. Today, I'm going to tell you something that only the top 1% truly understand. If you want a life that looks different, you must live different. You must do what the 99% are not doing. Because the moment you dare to break away from the ordinary, your entire world begins to transform. Here is your *600-word motivational speech in the style you requested, powerful, emotional, and structured like a Simon Sinek style delivery, without headings, without ending statements, and without mentioning any names. Most people wake up every morning and repeat the exact same patterns they swore they would break. They hit the same snooze button, complain about the same problems, and convince themselves that one day things will be different. But one day never comes for the 99%. Not because they don't have the potential, but because they never take the actions that separate the few from the many. If you want a different life, you can't live like everyone else. You have to do what the 99% are not doing. The truth is, most people choose comfort over growth, convenience over discipline, and approval over authenticity. They want success, but they don't want the discomfort that success demands. They want results, but they avoid the sacrifices required. And the moment things get difficult, they find excuses instead of solutions. That is what keeps them in the same place year after year. If you want to stand out, you must be willing to do what others avoid, ignore, or fear. The 99% talk about ideas, but they rarely execute. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect circumstance, the perfect assurance that things will work. But the ones who rise, the ones who break through, take action long before they feel ready. They understand that progress begins with a single, uncomfortable step. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else matters more than fear. When you choose action over hesitation, you instantly put yourself ahead of most people. The majority avoid failure as if it's a sign of weakness. They hide from challenges because they fear looking foolish. They want the appearance of success without the vulnerability of trying. But the top 1% know that failure is feedback and feedback is fuel. They are willing to be beginners. They are willing to look inexperienced. They are willing to fall down because they see each fall as a step forward. Every attempt, every setback, every uncomfortable moment is shaping them into someone stronger, sharper, and more capable. Do what the 99% are not doing, embrace the moments everyone else runs from. Most people also surround themselves with negativity. They stay around people who complain, gossip, and criticize ambition. They let the doubts of others become the limits of their own imagination. But the few who rise choose a different environment. They protect their energy. They choose people who challenge them, people who inspire them, people who remind them of who they can become. They understand that you cannot live a high-performance life with low-performance influences. You must distance yourself from the noise so you can hear your purpose clearly. The 99% crave fast results. They quit as soon as progress slows down or when the excitement fades. But sustainable success is built in the days when motivation is low and the rewards are invisible. While others complain that nothing is changing, the 1% quietly put in the work. They show up consistently, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one is watching. Those small, disciplined actions compound into massive outcomes. That is how extraordinary becomes inevitable. And above all, the majority settle for being spectators in their own lives. They watch others succeed. They admire from a distance. They wish, they hope, they dream, but they never step into the arena. The ones who rise refuse to live that way. They take ownership. They take responsibility. They understand that the life they want will not be handed to them. It will be built by them. When you choose to act, when you choose courage over comfort, when you choose discipline over distraction, you instantly separate yourself from the 99%. Do what they are not doing. Show up when others don't. Try when others won't. Believe when others doubt. Because the world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards the few who dare to live differently. Here is the expanded continuation, 600 words, starting exactly where the first part ended keeping the same tone, style, and flow, with no headings, no ending statements, and no name mentioned. And when you choose to live differently, something powerful begins to happen. You start seeing possibilities where others see obstacles. You start recognizing opportunities hidden inside challenges. You begin to understand that the world doesn't limit you. Your mindset does. The moment you commit to doing what most people avoid, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. That shift alone is enough to change everything. Most people spend their lives waiting for motivation to strike. They think they need the perfect spark, the perfect feeling, the perfect inspiration to begin. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It fades, it wavers, it comes and goes like the weather. What separates the few from the many is not motivation, but discipline. Discipline is the quiet force that moves you forward when inspiration is nowhere to be found. When you build the habit of showing up regardless of how you feel, you develop a power that 99% of people never experience. You stop relying on emotions and start relying on intention. There will be days when your effort feels invisible, days when progress seems slow, days when you question whether the work is worth it. And this is where most people retreat. They conclude that discomfort means it's not meant to be, that difficulty means something is wrong. But the truth is, the harder the path, the greater the reward. Growth never happens in the moments of ease. It happens in the moments when your mind is screaming for you to quit, and you choose to continue anyway. That is where transformation is born. When you pursue a path that the majority avoid, you will be misunderstood. People will question your choices, they will doubt your vision, they will tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to fit in. But fitting in has never created greatness. Blending in has never led to breakthroughs. The people who change their lives, and the world, are the ones willing to stand alone for a while. They understand that acceptance from the crowd means nothing if it costs you alignment with your purpose. The courage to go your own way is rare, and that rarity is exactly what makes it powerful. Most people are trapped by their past. They replay old mistakes, old failures, old disappointments until they convince themselves that improvement is impossible. But the truth is, the past is not a life sentence. It is a classroom. Every setback carries wisdom. Every failure carries insight. Every painful moment carries a lesson that can shape the next version of you. The difference between the 99% and the 1% is not that one group avoids hardship, but that one group uses hardship as fuel. They extract meaning from adversity. They turn pain into progress. They refuse to be defined by where they've been, because they are too focused on where they're going. There will always be distractions pulling for your attention. Noise from the world, noise from people, noise from your own doubts. The majority allow these voices to drown out their ambition. They get lost in the chaos of comparison, constantly measuring themselves against others and forgetting the power of their own journey. But the few who rise understand that comparison kills clarity. They keep their eyes on their own path. They measure themselves against who they were yesterday, not against who someone else appears to be today. That focus alone places them on a different level than most. Success requires something more than talent. It requires patience, it requires resilience, it requires persistence long after the initial excitement fades. Most people quit too early. They expect instant results, and when reality doesn't meet their expectations, they walk away. But the ones who break through understand that compounding takes time. Small, consistent actions repeated day after day eventually create exponential change. It's not the big moments that define your trajectory. It's the small, disciplined decisions you make in silence when no one is watching. The journey will test your limits. It will challenge your mindset. It will force you to confront parts of yourself you've been avoiding. And that is precisely why most people never experience real transformation. They want success, but they don't want self-discovery. They want progress, but they don't want discomfort. They want the reward, but they resist the process. But if you're willing to go through what others refuse to face, you will become someone others only dream of becoming. The world rewards the uncommon. It rewards the persistent. It rewards the courageous. And every day you choose discipline over distraction, action over excuses, growth over comfort, you step further into the rare territory where the 99% will never go. Here is the next 600 word continuation starting exactly where the second part ended keeping the same tone, flow, and style with no headings, no ending statements, and no names mentioned. And as you step into that territory, something remarkable begins to shift within you. You start realizing that the greatest competition you will ever face is not with the world, not with the critics, and not with the doubters. It is with the version of yourself that settles, that procrastinates, that hides behind comfort. Most people spend their lives competing with others, but the ones who rise understand that mastery comes from competing with who they were yesterday. Every day becomes a chance to outgrow, outlearn, and outwork your former self. The 99% look at challenges as barriers, but the few who rise treat challenges as invitations. They see them as signals that something meaningful lies on the other side. They understand that life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. Strength comes from leaning into the discomfort, not from avoiding it. Every difficult task, every hard decision, every uncomfortable moment is like a weight that builds your capacity. While others search for shortcuts, you build strength. While others look for the easy way, you build resilience. And resilience is a currency the world deeply rewards. You will notice that the people who doubt you the most are often the ones who gave up on themselves. They project their limitations onto you because your ambition threatens their comfort. And when you choose to do what the 99% are not doing, you disrupt their sense of normal. That disruption makes people uneasy, but you are not here to make people comfortable. You are here to grow, to evolve, to become the version of yourself you know you can be. And growth will always require breaking the expectations others place on you. There will be moments when you are surrounded by silence. Moments when nobody claps, nobody notices, nobody acknowledges the effort you put in. These moments are not signs to stop. They are signs you are in the phase where most people quit. This is the season that separates the committed from the curious. The curious try until it's inconvenient. The committed continue even when it's lonely. It is in these silent seasons that character is built, identity is shaped, and breakthroughs are born. If you endure the quiet, you will emerge with a strength that cannot be ignored. Most people chase passion, but passion alone is unstable. It burns bright, but it burns fast. What truly drives the uncommon few is purpose. Purpose is not loud. It is not flashy. It does not shout for attention. Purpose whispers. It tugs at your spirit. It compels you forward when the excitement fades and the results are slow. And when you choose purpose over fleeting motivation, you unlock a level of consistency that the majority never achieve. That consistency becomes your advantage. It becomes your edge. It becomes the thing that propels you into the 1%. The world is full of people who underestimate the power of small daily progress. They imagine success as one big leap, one big moment, one big breakthrough. But real change is the result of countless small decisions that compound over time, waking up a little earlier, practicing a little longer, learning a little more, saying no to distractions, saying yes to things that challenge you. None of these actions feel massive in the moment, but together they form the foundation of a life the 99% never get to experience. You will not always feel confident, you will not always feel prepared, you will not always feel certain. But confidence grows through action, not the other way around. The people who appear confident today were once unsure, inexperienced, and afraid. What separated them from the crowd was their refusal to let fear dictate their decisions. They acted anyway. They moved anyway. They believed that clarity would come through movement, and it did. When you choose action over hesitation, you build a momentum that most people never generate. There will be days when you look back on your journey and realize how far you've come, not because of some dramatic moment, but because you kept going when others stopped. You kept learning when others got comfortable. You kept believing when others settled. Over time, these choices compound into a transformation so profound that people will assume it happened overnight. They won't see the early mornings, the hard nights, the internal battles. They won't see the versions of you that had every reason to quit, but didn't. The world doesn't need more people who blend in. It needs people who are bold enough to step out. People willing to act with intention rather than drift with habit. People willing to disrupt the ordinary in pursuit of the extraordinary. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over comfort, growth over excuses, you prove that you are willing to do what the 99% are not doing. Here is the *** next 600 word continuation ***, starting * exactly where the third part ended ***, keeping the same tone, rhythm, and style, with no headings, no names, and no ending statements. And when you begin living that way, something inside you starts to change at a level you can't fully explain. You stop being driven by external validation and start being guided by internal conviction. You stop asking for permission to pursue your path and start understanding that permission was never required in the first place. The moment you realize that your life is shaped by the standards you set for yourself, not the expectations placed on you by others, you step into a freedom that the majority will never experience. Most people settle for the familiar because the familiar feels safe. They cling to routines, habits, and environments that keep them comfortable, even when those very things are holding them back. But when you choose the uncommon path, you learn that growth lives outside familiarity. Growth demands that you stretch, that you push, that you challenge the limits you once accepted as truth. The people who elevate their lives are the ones willing to walk into the unknown with courage, knowing that uncertainty is not a threat, it's an invitation. You start noticing that the world responds differently when you operate from intention instead of impulse. While most people drift through their days reacting to distractions, you begin directing your energy toward what actually matters. You show up with purpose, you speak with clarity, you act with conviction, and slowly you build a life that feels aligned, not accidental. Alignment is rare because it requires honesty, discipline, and the willingness to let go of anything that contradicts your highest values. But once you taste it, you understand why so few ever achieve it. There will be moments when the weight of your goals feels heavy. Moments when the gap between where you are and where you want to be seems overwhelming. The 99% use that feeling as a reason to stop. They tell themselves the dream is too big, the work is too hard, the journey is too long. But the few who rise interpret that weight differently. They see it as evidence that the goal matters. They understand that anything meaningful will challenge them. They commit not because it's easy, but because it's important. And that shift in perspective becomes the reason they continue. As you push further into the uncommon path, you will discover that discipline becomes a form of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, waking up early, making time for growth, staying committed when it's inconvenient, you strengthen your identity. You begin to trust yourself, and that self-trust becomes a force far more powerful than motivation or inspiration. Most people never build that trust because they break their own promises too often. But you choose differently. You choose to honor your commitments even when no one else will know, even when no one else will praise you, even when no one else will care, because you know these moments shape the person you are becoming. You will also realize that success is less about what you get and more about who you become. The majority chase achievements hoping those achievements will fill the void within them, but without inner growth, even the greatest accomplishments feel temporary. The uncommon few focus on developing character, discipline, patience, and purpose. They know that when the internal transformation happens, the external results follow. And those results last because they were built on a foundation that the 99% never take the time to develop. You will face moments of doubt. You will question your decisions. You will wonder why the journey feels so demanding. And in those moments, you must remember that doubt is not a sign you're on the wrong path. Doubt is a sign you're on a path that matters. The majority avoid doubt because it makes them uncomfortable, but those who elevate understand that doubt is simply the mind adjusting to a new level of growth. It's the tension between who you were and who you're becoming. There will come a point where your old life no longer fits you. The conversations that once entertained you will feel empty. The environments that once felt normal will feel small. The habits you once relied on will feel limiting. This is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. It means you are evolving. It means you are stepping into a version of yourself that requires more from you. And that requirement is a privilege, not a burden. Most people never reach this point because they resist evolution. But you are here because you're willing to let go of anything that keeps you average. With every step you take, with every sacrifice you make, with every choice to rise instead of retreat, you solidify your place among the few. The ones who dare, the ones who commit, the ones who build lives that inspire not because they sought admiration, but because they chose to do what the 99% are not doing.